Looks like I'm live on the Zoom. Yay! And apparently, pretty quickly, live on YouTube. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love YouTube channel. And I know I said this the other day, but something happened to that recording, so I didn't get to put it on Sassy Seer Sheila. But I will be putting this one, if nothing happens to the recording, on Sassy Seer Sheila. That channel, which is kind of interesting because I've been spending most of my time over here on New Light Streaming Love, and yet I've noticed that there's subscribers happening in both places. So, I don't want to just abandon Sassy Seer Sheila. So, also, I highly recommend that if you enjoy the content that I put out personally, Sassy Seer Sheila is my standalone channel. Uh, New Light Streaming Love, while it might not appear so right now, this is a collaborative channel, and the other members will be joining me for conversations and just little things of their own. We've all kind of been in that weird here but not here spot. I was there for, gosh, I want to say 2 full years, it feels like, um, in one way of thinking about it. Not really being active on any channel, but that is definitely changed for me. I kept thinking about you guys all day yesterday, even though I didn't show up and do a live yesterday. So I know this is good for me, whether anybody else gets anything out of it or not. It's absolutely imperative, I think, for me to continue to come here and do these collective readings, if for no other reason but myself. So, oh, wow. And perhaps this is why. Um, the Alchemist, Nellis the Alchemist, came out of the fairy deck this morning. That's very interesting. Um, Another seer, long time ago, before I even started doing any of this for myself, asked me. She was actually billed as a psychic medium, and she said, "Are you aware that you can do what I do?" And of course, I was like, "No." And someone else, actually, it was Crystal Hemphill, another member of the New Light Streaming Love team, um, actually used the word catalyst for me, which I feel is so, because I even activate myself with my own voice. I am preparing. The reason I'm here so early today is that I'm so fortunate we're finally being able to do it. My longtime friend here locally and I have been trying to meet up for lunch ever since my birthday in October. So we're finally getting to do that today, and I don't want to miss being with her. But at the same time, I felt um, highly nudged to come and be here today. The surrender deck pulled out surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcoming and keep moving forward toward positive situations in your life. This is absolutely imperative. I watched my great grandmother. I was sharing this with a viewer yesterday. My great grandmother was, really very Christian, and yet if there was a perceived grudge, oh, she would not let that go. There was no forget. There was none of that in her field at all. And the truth of it is, it does poison you and not the other. It's no punishment to the other. If if there's a situation that you might be going through, my thing was always I actually was asked one time when I was much younger, and this is before I ever even realized anything about a spiritual awakening or anything like this. I was in my 20s and I found out that my best friend uh, slept with my husband. And somebody asked me, "What? Don't you just want to beat her ass?" And I'm like, no, actually, no, I wasn't married to her. I was married to him. And the best thing I can do is deprive her of my company. I mean, and I truly felt that way. So, and it had nothing to do with anything else. So, and the truth of it is, I didn't realize how true that actually is. Um, so and honestly, in all of the things I've been through in my life, I've never held a grudge against a person, for any kind of reason, especially one that I have loved. Just because they do you wrong doesn't change, or I would hope that it wouldn't change the love that's there. It doesn't make it any less. It doesn't change anything. At least it didn't for me. Now, each has to experience things in their own particular way, and no one is right. And necessarily, that's one of the things that I now know for myself. I surge upon the uprising wave of love is the Rumi card we got this morning. Okay, all right. I love that. And I have one more that wants to come out. This deck really never got used much by me, and uh, it really wants to make an appearance here in the Mojo morning Mojo. So let's see. This one's called Universe Speaks, and they're really very pretty cards. Okay, this one. I go where you go. Tell me, are you finding that the occasional stranger has a crush on you? That for words you've almost mindlessly chosen, hearts broken too long begin to heal. That eyes sometimes well up with tears when it's time to say goodbye. Remarkable. Our findings exactly. Psst. Your divinity is showing love, the universe. Well, I like that, and actually that has happened to me quite a bit. Me and Lisa can be out somewhere, and I've shared this before. We'll have someone just come up, and the lady just the most recent one, the lady actually asked. She says, "I really don't know why I'm telling you my whole life story." But we knew because it's not something that we're not used to, right? And so I love that. I don't know why this is worded so weird to me. Tell me, are you finding that the occasional stranger has a crush on you? That for words you've almost mindlessly chosen, hearts broken too long begin to heal. That's it. And I'm going to stop right there because we can label that we mindlessly chose particular words all we want to. But I have found, and this goes for a whole lot of things, I have found that something I thought that I didn't give too much thought to at all, I just did it, and then come to find later that it was the perfect thing. I'm going to point again to the incident with the jellyfish, where it was a pattern of my own creation. And I wanted to gift it to the little child that Lisa was traveling to Virginia for her birthday. That she raised her mother in she was her nanny, and I've never even met the child. I didn't sit down and feel into the child like I do with you guys when I'm doing the intuitive hangout sessions. I didn't pay any attention, or at least I thought, right? It was just a new character that I felt to create, and and then the child runs up to Lisa from the bus as she's getting off the school bus. The first time Lisa lays eyes on her, and she's wearing a t-shirt with a blue jellyfish on it, which happened to be the exact same color of the jellyfish I just so happened to choose. I mean, and her mother told Lisa that she was currently obsessed with jellyfish. So I could think that I mindlessly chose that all I want to, but I kind of feel like no, not so much mindlessly. I think we are so connected. What happens is we don't pay attention. We don't pay attention to ourselves, our words, what we're doing, what happens. Um, and I don't know, but that's so cool because that's the proof in the pudding of one's divinity, as far as I'm concerned. So I hope that you've got something warm and delicious to tuck into. This is my combination morning coffee slash health tonic. Ever since I learned that cacao actually stimulates stem cell growth, I very rarely have a cup of coffee without some cacao added to it. Mm. Also, my grass-fed butter, a little bit of coconut oil, and in this particular one, some clove as well. A little bit of the clove concentrate that we make here at the house. Mm-mm-mm. Only problem is for me, it gets cold so fast that I really am going to have to see about getting one of those. Um, does anybody know? And say it in the comments. If you happen to have had any experience with using a candle warmer as a cup warmer, I know that I could probably pick up a candle warmer at thrift store or yard sale or something like that because my goodness, I saw some candle or no, I'm sorry, cup warmers on Amazon. My God, they want like $80 for a cup I'm not sure if that will work like that or not. So I'd love to hear from somebody that has some experience perhaps with using a candle warmer as a cup warmer. I only use clear glass for my hot beverages ever since I learned, that there's been lead reported in some of the cups and almost everything comes from China anymore. I prefer the clear glass. Okay, so from the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud and Jessica Macbeth, we pulled card number 27, which is a nine numerologically, the end of a cycle. And this is Nellis, the alchemist. And the key words here are inner transformation, irrevocable change. In fairy, and sometimes in our world, alchemy is the study and practice of transforming the soul from the lead of primitive conditioned reactions to the gold of spiritual and practical attainment. Now, Lisa has used the term demo mode. There's a lot out there. I've heard a lot of people talk about what they call NPCs or non-player characters, which would seem to suggest that we have folks running around here. I've actually heard them say with no souls. That never sat well with me. I don't know why, but it just didn't, and it doesn't. Um, and I like the way that Lisa has termed this because not everyone is here to experience the same path. As a matter of fact, I personally feel like every being that's here is here to have a unique experience. That's the whole point of divinity dividing itself into all these separate containers to have these separate and unique experiences. And we keep trying to force folks into seeing things the way we see them because we think the way we see them are correct. No, 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 no. This is where all the strife comes from, if you ask me. Instead, let's try something different. And what I mean by that is realize that that other being that you're encountering is another version of you having a completely different experience, one that they actually planned for, no matter what it looks like on the outside to any of us. We just really don't have enough information to assume anything else, in my view. And I don't care who it is, nobody on this planet has all the answers. There's just no way. And I think that's by design. I think it's meant so that each being gets to experience completely separately and uniquely for themselves. And it is actually a power over other energetic that I still find within me when I'm trying to say, well, you ought to do this or you need to do that. Why? Because I said so? Because it works for me? That's like not at all the case. And I love the way this puts it. Transforming the soul from the lead of primitive, conditioned reactions. That's exactly how we react to each other, based on everything we've been taught is true, most of which actually has been surrounded by a whole bunch of assumptions, right? So transforming that to the gold of spiritual and practical attainment. And not everyone's chosen to walk that path. So I love the idea that some folks came here with the idea to walk that path, but got lost because we do come through that veil of forgetting, which is, the reason why I share what I find, because some folks want to hear it. Some folks planned for someone to come along and activate them. I really do feel like that's what happened between myself and Lisa. I was on that path already, and Lisa showed up as a translator, as a volunteer to say, hey, remember you had this plan between she and Crystal and so many of you that have reached out to me. If you and I feel drawn to each other, there's a reason why. And so before we start judging other people as being unawake or wrong, or because they have their own path, they have their own desire to have experiences. And especially if it's a loved one, that might feel a little more difficult because you think the way you're doing something is the best way. And it is for you. But it may be completely the opposite for a loved one. And I know, it's hard to imagine that someone wouldn't want to experience unconditional love and all of these things. But again, since we don't really have any idea as to what each being has chosen in conjunction with their soul and all the others around them, it's one of the reasons I'll point again to the narration. I've got it in a playlist on the channel that's called hashtag puzzle piece alert. And it's called The Little Soul and the Sun. It's I guess, a poem or something like that that was written by Neil Donald Walsh. And it was, again, one of those things that I found that really helped me understand how it is really, at least feels the most accurate to me as to how we've set all of this up. So, Nellis is mistress of the alchemical arts, and she also understands that daily life is a spiritual exercise. She recognizes that transformation may take place from the inside out or from the outside in. When things are stuck and movement has become impossible, Nellis firmly waves her Rowan wand, and things happen in ourselves and in the world. Sometimes things just cannot move without readjustment, perhaps even radical realignment. We may feel that we should be able to bring our plans to fruition, but we may be aiming at the impossible, or at least at the very inappropriate. Part of the impossibility or inappropriateness may be a result of our own attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors, and part of it may be circumstances in our world, things that are beyond our control. Often, inner transformation is required in order to achieve what we wish for the outer world, just as conversely, changes in the outer world often elicit inner transformation. Personal inner change is the truest transformation of all, and in the long run, it is the only change that matters. And it won't happen at all until the being is absolutely ready and they allow those veils to fall from their eyes. I'm convinced the veils are not out there. They're not. They're in here. And each being takes down the veil when they are ready and not a moment before. And no amount of trying to convince, cajole, show the way, any of that stuff works. I ask me how I know because back when I still had the I think I'm right for everybody thing going on, I tried diligently to show the way. So, uh, Nellis points out a path we can follow, Jonathan observes, but she does not lead us by the hand along it, although she might give us a nudge if we seem we need it. When an Oracle group member was looking at Nellis, a giggling fairy voice said, "If you concentrate very hard, you can get to the bottom of the problem." When Nellis turns up in your reading, get ready for things to happen inwardly and outwardly. Oh, I'm ready. The stuck becomes unstuck. The blocked begins to move. You may have to run to keep up with the speed at which the situation around you is moving. You may also be surprised by the direction things and you are taking. You may find your plans, even your desires and dreams, changing as the transformative process takes place. It might not have been in your plans, but later on, you will look back and say, wow, it wasn't what I expected, but it was just what I needed. I think that's true. When we have been through such an alchemical process, we can never go back to what we were before, which is probably just as well. And I know that's true because once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you experience something, you can't unexperience it. Or you can deny it. You can make yourself believe it didn't happen or all those kinds of things, but it's still in there and it still affects mostly everything. Well, it's kind of interesting to me that Nellis, as an alchemist, is all about change. And the Rumi card is number 5, which for me represents change. So, very interesting. And there's a lot about to change in our household, in our community. We're looking at growing the community, um, not just no decisions have as yet been made as to where we'll be moving, or and so I'm still open to the universe showing us the actual end result. Lisa and I both sort of feel like if we move out of here into just a regular house with no land around it, that will be like mm, a stopgap measure, sort of, to remove us from this situation that we're in now, that I'm pretty sure is affecting my health. And so, oh, good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, Sheila. So nice to catch you before I leave for my appointment. Oh, I'm so glad. I hope you're doing well, my dear. Um, we'll have to get together again once I'm able to get that report done for you. So, number 5, I surge on the uprising wave of love. My love can be summed up in 3 accounts. I was raw, I was cooked, and I was burned. Rumi. I surge on the uprising wave of love. No gravity can stop me from rising. The moon pulls the tide of life towards her, and my soul, in oneness with all of life, answers her call. A wave of love consumes me, and upwards I fly, flying through water to greet her shining body. Led by my heart, my wits are addled, and my mind becomes a blurry mess. And so I feel instead, I feel the truth of her love and the divine reflection she shines back at me from her radiant heart. Greater forces of planetary movements affect us all. We experience day and night through the interplay of the earth, sun, and moon. This is a profound and obvious effect. The movements of the cosmos affect us deeply, body and soul. Some movements are perhaps less obvious in form, but are just as great, if not more so, in effect upon our spiritual growth and life experiences. You are going through a cycle, or very soon will be, by which you will be moved by forces greater than your own personal will. Well, in light of this card, that's kind of interesting, wouldn't you say? Hmm. Um, this is a karmic period, a time during which the movements of greater planetary bodies will have an impact upon the earth and humanity. This is the way of things, greater cycles affecting smaller ones. The smaller ones are not less important, but they do have to bow to the power of the great in oneness with the magnificent unfolding of divinity that is life itself. What we always have at our disposal is choice as to how we respond to these affecting movements and cycles. The effect of this karmic cycle now unfolding in your life is to bring you into sweet surrender and awakening into greater love. Now, it's kind of interesting that I felt and I've been feeling when I come here of late to make sure and consult the surrender deck since I've had such a tough time with that word in general, right? Mm. Although I am really embracing how I not just view pain, but also experience it. When there's a clenching up in my body, when there's pain, it makes the pain worse. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but I certainly have. And so that's very interesting the way this is speaking about that here. So I'm going to read that again. What we always have at our disposal is choice. Choice as to how we respond to these affecting movements and cycles. You're going to clench up, you're going to relax into it. That's the question I keep being asked of my own self. The effect of this karmic cycle now unfolding in your life is to bring you into sweet surrender and awakening into greater love. What a delicious divine destiny. However, even if we sense at one level that a shift has a positive end in store for us, we can encounter resistance and fear born of the ego in response to the stirring of spiritual uprising. We may quake in our holy body and wonder if everything is getting out of control and into some disorder. We will be right in our sense of imminent chaos. The disorder, however, is the ego perspective because its range of vision is too small, too limited to comprehend the greater workings of the planetary system that move life towards love. And that actually is the entire point. When I say that nobody has the answers on this planet, that we each have to find those answers for ourselves within, because all of the perspectives that we have on the planet at present are the ego perspective. Even if it's a channeled material, it's coming through the experiential ego filter of the being receiving the guidance. I've gotten really good of late at being able to detect at least some of the experiential filter in different channelings, right? Um, and and that's the way it should be for each being. You have to open to hearing what is there for you, especially if you're drawn, especially like now I didn't make any kind of announcement I was going live, and I didn't make any kind of an announcement that it was going to be earlier today, and here you are, right? So 9 times out of 10 there will be something, not everything of course, because this is actually for me, but there will be something that rings true for you or could open you to getting your own guidance in a particularly different way, even. So the disorder, however, is the ego perspective because its range of vision is too small, too limited to comprehend the greater workings of the planetary systems that move life towards love. That is as it should be. The teacup is not made to hold the ocean, just actually a cup of tea. But if we begin to imagine that the cup of tea is preferable to the ocean simply because it is more containable, how much we miss out on. And how terrifying when we are actually thrown into the ocean and moved by it. Its sheer power, its wild force, and its passionate dance with the moon mother might have us fearing that we most certainly will die. Yet the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempts at control. Why? Because your heart is more powerful than your fear and it wants to live in total trusting surrender of the unfoldment of life's genius. It wants to let life happen to it. What a wise intention that is. Why seek to impose a smaller and less interesting story upon life when the great master storyteller is weaving a fantastic tale of great love, great adventure, and sublime spiritual success? No, it is wiser, wilder, and more fun to surf the great wave of consciousness seeking to overtake you now. Dive in, beloved. Surge with it. You are being given a gift of grace in this oracle, the promise that you won't drown and that you will, in fact, be given a glimpse of your own divinity should you choose to accept whatever will be offered to you. Don't try to swim against the tide of your own life journey. Go with it. The divine is there waiting for you, orchestrating waves upon which you may reach the heavenly shore. Yes, the divine is there waiting for you, waiting on a picnic blanket of fabric of the heavens with a sacred feast of earthly bounty just now being unpacked in your honor. Get yourself into that ocean and ride those waves to your sacred date with the divine right now. Sweet beloved, surfs up. This oracle comes with a message for you. There are changes happening, and they will be out of your control. This is kind of interesting, and I'm going to tell y'all why, but it's almost done here. This is because you are ready for accelerated life change. Rather than paddling, you might be caught up in a wave and moved farther, faster. Let yourself surge on with the energy of what is happening, leading with your heart and just going with whatever unfolds. This will bring you the best fortune and open you up to the divine destiny that is your birthright this time. You know what? I have to be honest with you here. That is so interesting because here's the deal. So much came in for me during the reading of that. One of the things that, especially being an older gal, right? Um, I've heard folks speak about being a target, right? Because you're older. There's beings out there who want to take advantage and all that kind of thing, right? There's also, and that's a state of fear that I won't allow myself to go into. Again, for me, I I realize that death is not the end, and there's a whole way, a different way of looking at that sort of thing, right? In particular, if I am being totally open and honest with myself, that is my protection. Hiding things or trying not to, being in such fear, that sort of thing, that is an invitation. In a way, that is consent. In some ways, that is absolutely consent. At least that's the way I feel about it. But by just standing up and saying to the universe, okay, I'm here, you got my attention, and you show me the way, and I will follow it. And I don't know, I just, for me personally, I keep being shown where that is the protection. there's nothing for me to necessarily fear. Um, because there's two ways to look at everything, right? For me, I'm choosing to see that everything that happens, even something that I might classify as a disaster or horrific or tragedy or trauma, that's a perspective of the universe happens to me rather than seeing that it happens for me. Because again, I can judge a thing in whatever kind of way, but now I know that a judgment, that discernment is based solely on all my previous experiences in life, including ones that from childhood that I don't even recall specifically. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. It certainly has been helpful for me. And I wanted to make a quick announcement too that if the energy holds, I would like very much to do another intuitive hangout session this evening. And it will be earlier rather than later so that this old lady can go to bed at a decent hour. So I will be coming here and making that announcement at least 1 hour ahead of time on the community tab of and I don't know if it looks like community to you guys or if it has the word post on it. So on the channel, if you go to New Light Streaming Love, this will not apply to Sassy C or Sheila. If you want to participate in the intuitive hangout session, you'll need to come to New Light Streaming Love. Oh, and I wanted to thank everybody. We did get to 100 subscribers, and if you have found anything that you find here helpful, that would be lovely if you would subscribe and also give thumbs up to the videos. I do forget to say that because it will put it in some of the algorithms when they decide to let us do that. And so that's really it for now. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Look out for that post. If you don't see or hear it, that means energy was just too much and I couldn't muster it up. But the plan at this moment is to do another intuitive hangout session tonight. And if you're so willing to come and play with me, I would love to pull a card for you. Remember, I mean, if you ask a question, I will answer it, but we run the risk of you getting advice from an old lady instead of, oh, perfect, my lunch date just said she's running late. So I was trying to hurry because I thought I had to run out the back door. So, but you do run the risk of just simply getting advice from a 63-year-old grandmother. So, uh, what I prefer is if you ask for a card. And please be patient for me because I do this on my own unless someone else shows up and volunteers to help keep me straight. I have missed where somebody has asked for a card. So until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. And if nothing else, go in the way that you feel drawn. If you feel drawn to something or someone, there's a reason. It may not be what you would hope, but there is a reason for it. And I highly recommend because that's what it is. You just never know what will be the catalyst to an inner transformation. Mwah. Till we meet again, guys, be well.